I'm Ali Patterson, and welcome to this episode of the Fintech Show. Today, we hear about how large institutions like Citi and Goldman Sachs are looking to improve their onboarding process now that we're in the midst of a digital-only ecosystem. This has led them to invest in Trulioo, a company on a mission to make sure no one is left behind and everyone participates fully in the modern digital economy. To find out, we took a trip to Vancouver to see what Trulioo Zac Cohen had to say about what the onboarding ecosystem was like. Meanwhile, our North American correspondent Jacob Bauer interviewed Citi and Goldman Sachs to find out more about the investment.
What are the common challenges you get approached with for providing effective ID verification by those in the financial services?
Yeah, I think when we talk about the biggest challenges that organizations face today, there's really two consistently that we see. The first is they just don't know where to start. This might be a financial institution that has already rolled out operations for online onboarding, but now they're looking to make a change. There's new technology available. They're not sure if what they're doing is the most effective risk-based approach for their existing jurisdiction or other ones that they operate in. Or you have organizations that are moving more to digital where they're just not sure how to even begin. So a lot of our conversations with customers these days tend to be, let's take a look holistically at the marketplace. Let's understand what tools are available to you, and let's really break down what your ideal scenario is from a customer journey to onboarding. And then we can map for them and pattern match certain tools that become effective for their specific use case. So we definitely see organizations that are just asking for help. They're not sure what to do next and how to make it better. And that's a challenge for any organization, especially when you're talking about identity. The next item that we very often see today as a big challenge is meeting that same solid customer journey on a global scale. So organizations have become quite good at this if you're only operating in a single country, right? It's repetitive, it's somewhat consistent. But when you're trying to actively operate in 20, 30, 40 different countries at the same time, that becomes increasingly complex. So what we are very good at is helping organizations walk through that delivery and create modular, customized, and terribly flexible tools that they can apply in every single one of their different markets that they operate in.
When you talk about an ideal marketplace, when the marketplace is becoming more global like that, what are some of the complications long term? Is it regulatory? Is it just having the tools?
The biggest complication long-term, and I like the way you asked that because organizations should not be selecting their plans and identity based on what's happening today. They have to absolutely future-proof their decisions because it can be expensive to change technology, as well as disruptive for your user base if you're dramatically shifting what that looks like over time. So you have to be able to future-proof it, and the best way to do that is to identify a technology partner that offers a marketplace solution so that you can plug and play different tools depending on the situation, the risk, or the jurisdiction that you're operating in. So to be able to have flexibility and be able to select modular solutions allows you to seamlessly change those different variables without affecting the experience from a customer's perspective or having to change any significant resources on your technology stack. And that's why all of our customers have stayed with Trulioo for years upon years. And that's also why when we do have regulatory changes, and there have been significant ones in Europe, in US, in Canada, in Asia, and abroad, all we have to do is make a configuration change that's quite simple on the back-end account side that does not disrupt anything that the user would experience or the internal compliance teams at the financial institution have to do to interpret the new data feed. So it's very simple and flexible, and that's the way you think about future change.
The shift to digital and digital experiences is a trend we've been following for several years across a number of our portfolio companies. Secondly, with that shift to digital, we see the importance of identity verification as being particularly critical, especially when companies don't otherwise have face-to-face relationships with their customers. And then number three, we see this as a market that's got both a large size today and a lot of legs and tailwinds to continue growing in the future.
I think that as more and more people come online to that digital ecosystem, and as the digital channel has become more and more of a focus, it's also created more of an opportunity for bad actors, just like it has for good people too. So I think we need to be aware of that. And that's really where companies like Trulioo fit in is that ability to verify somebody's identity as they get onboarded into this digital ecosystem, that they are who they claim to be, and therefore you can have that trust and interact with those people. I think the good news is that you have more and more data sources all the time. So yes, while we have more people joining, and that's good, but we also have more bad actors, which is a challenge. Sure. We're getting more and more data on individuals, right? So in addition to the things we know about where they've lived in the past and phone numbers and email addresses and things like that, there's also behavioral biometrics. There's geolocation. There's just an increasing profile of data that you can also use that smart companies like Trulioo and others with smart algorithms can use in order to then identify those people. So massive opportunity. I think it's, will hopefully drive a lot of increase in the living standard for people as they become more and more included in the financial system.
Do you think that these challenges are why you receive such great support from established institutions like Citi or Goldman Sachs in your funding round?
So we were very privileged to have an amazing funding team when it comes to our investors, all the way going back from our initial seed investors to today. And we get that kind of support because they understand that identity itself is the backbone of the digital economy. Every operation that we have when it comes to online activity fundamentally resolves itself to who is on both sides of that transaction. And building the gateway and all of the piping to make that possible, regardless of where an organization or an individual is located, who they are, where they come from, what kind of information they have, that's an incredibly powerful statement. And so, again, we've been quite privileged to have a very strong investment team who believes and understands our mission and our dream and how we see the world. And we've had just an immense amount of success of implementing that with our technology.
It seems that with the response you're receiving, these large banks have really caught on to the need for products like Trulioo and what you provide. Is that something that is just catching on, or does that seem to be generic across the board?
It really depends on where the organization is in their life cycle. And we've purpose-built our technology to make sure that we could satisfy identity verification requirements for a single person startup to a global organization with tens of thousands of employees in countries all around the world. And the requirements are absolutely there. It's what's been a burden up until now is being able to find a technology partner that can scale with an organization and have an easy interoperability in terms of their own infrastructure and application with the outside tools and technology. And so we've done a lot of innovation work to make sure that our technology can be used from organizations big and small, but the need has never gone away, and it won't. We're only seeing more rigid regulatory restrictions and requirements, but also fraud has increased dramatically as we've moved to a more online world. And this is pre-COVID, this is pre-pandemic. As we shift to more digital activity, the risk of fraud becomes greater. So implementing these types of tools that can speak to your identity verification, that answers all of those different use cases, is important for everybody who's operating online. And we've managed to deliver a solution that can be accessed by organizations all across the spectrum.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about Trulioo is this move from physical customer onboarding to really digital customer onboarding. Mm-hmm. And what we see there is that trend that's been further accelerated. It was a trend that was already happening, but it's a trend that's been further accelerated by the current environment. And so that positions Trulioo really well to take advantage of that. What we like most about Trulioo in specific was, you had a team that was really thought leaders thinking about this market for a long time. They think about it on a global basis, not just a North American basis. And they really allow their customers to take advantage of all that data. They're sort of a network of networks, if you will, right? They plug into 400 different data sources around the world, globally, and allow their customers to apply whatever policy they want to those different data sources. And that flexibility, that ability to customize, but yet use all those data sources through one API is really the strength of the Trulioo system. So that's what really got us excited, was their approach, the way they handle customer information in a very sensitive customer information in a very appropriate way, the ability to be that one-stop shop, and then the thought leadership of the management team.
Trulioo in particular is a business we've been following for several years. We got to know the founder of the business, going back to 2018. He was someone that we developed a very close relationship with, and we were particularly impressed with two things. Number one, the quality of the product they had built. It was, as far as we could tell, the most scaled and highest performing digital identity verification solution on the market. And number two, the quality of the customers they had. Trulioo works with several dozen of the world's largest digital-first companies across financial services, across payments, across technology, and across commerce. And it was both the size and strength of that customer base that validated the uniqueness of the product and made us really excited about Trulioo and the opportunity it had to continue growing into this large market with these tailwinds. Trulioo, for its customers, broadly speaking, helps answer two core questions in identity. One is, does this identity exist? That's what the core eIDV solution addresses. And then number two, is the person that I'm interacting with the person who they say they are? And that's what several of Trulioo's other solutions, such as document verification, help it solve.
What do you think about Trulioo's mission to enable all 7 billion people in the world to have access to identity verification?
Yeah, so look, I think that mission is a fantastic mission. We launched a fund last year called the Citi Impact Fund, and one of the focuses of that fund is to help drive financial inclusion. Now, while Trulioo is not an investment in that fund because it didn't exist at the time that we did the Trulioo investment, we do think that's a really important mission. Look, the benefit is that in order to participate in marketplaces, to be digitally enabled and to interact in a digital way, you need to have an identity, and that identity needs to be verified in order to enable you to do that in a way that that makes it both safe and enables trust for all participants. Sure. And that mission of Trulioo enabling that identity and that trust to bring these new participants into marketplaces, into e-commerce, into financial systems, I think is an awesome mission, and we're very supportive of that.
We truly believe that every single person on the planet should have access when they want to the digital economy, but we have to do it in a safe way. So ensuring that we can verify every individual when they choose to do so and when they choose to engage is accessibility at its core, and very important for financial inclusion and our mission as a business overall.
Well, that's all we've got time for on today's episode of the Fintech Show. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about what the future of onboarding will be for huge global institutions. It is great to hear that they're not resting on their laurels and are ready for an ever digital-only world. See you next time. Bye for now.